Bending Spoons US Incorporated.
Does that mean we're gonna get better service?
No, no.
I know, right?
So Bending Spoons US Incorporated is a holding company,
Right.
and the I'm assuming it's like a LLC. StreamYards. It's like a subsidiary in the holding company, and then they just became cheap just to consolidate the two
Yeah.
for tax purposes. It's wild. It's wild. Hey, everybody!
Hey, everybody.
It's a new year, and I'm wearing a special avatar for the new year.
Oddly enough, I am not wearing a special avatar, but I am working on something that is oddly special for the new year. So I mean, we're all south of the border today.
We are. And yes, I'm wearing this in honor of former U.S. Senator from Florida, a man I've actually met, Marco Rubio, being told, "Yeah, you're just in charge of taking care of Venezuela until we get everything sorted out there." And somebody made this
It,
image, and it tickled me.
serious thing. The night that Operation Banana Republic happened,
No.
uh,
We should call it Operation Tropico.
Operation Tropico. Okay, the night Operation Tropico happened, I was talking to people, and people were kind of concerned, and I was like, nah, we're not gonna go into Venezuela. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because of the two things, right? Iran just seems like the much more tangible thing.
Well,
Nobody's
no.
happy about what Iran's doing,
Here's the fun
right?
part. They're moving they're moving assets into Iran, into Iranian theater.
Oh, so literally, the Orange in Chief is like, we're doing it live. We're doing both.
Yeah. So
um,
because it's the New Year's,
yeah.
we're gonna do a New Year's tradition we didn't do last time.
Well,
We're gonna
before we
talk
jump
of
into this, before we jump into this, I want to say one more thing real quick. Um,
hmm?
just in case anyone's getting it twisted and thinks that I am getting the TDS. Uh, I want to be very clear. I don't give a shit about Venezuela, but if we head to Venezuela, he did it correctly. He went to the qualified experts, our generals and our other people, and said, "How can I do this with the least amount of military function and the most amount of effectiveness?" And they said, "Well, you send in Delta," and
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
and they got it done in less than a day. The political fallout's the political fallout. People can have that, but it was done. and, just as an aside, this has also spawned the single greatest, most bizarre internet-based uh revelation ever. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, you know me. I don't get. I try desperately not to get political. Right. Uh, somebody, some rando, S. Wooly Kimball. I don't know what the fuck
Hmm.
they are.
Hmm.
Um, posted this. I'm gonna put the image up here. Share my screen. Ignore my million billion tabs
Tabs.
if you see them. Yeah. Put this up there
A
for just a
second.
minute.
All right. Oop.
I'm gonna read this now, and I'm gonna try and
Mhm.
read this as written because punctuation matters. The office of Kamala D. Harris. When we talk about Venezuela, we are talking about a country, and that country exists within a hemisphere. It is significant to understand the significance of the passage of time as it relates to where we were yesterday and where we are today. Democracy
Yeah.
is about the process. It's about the doing of the thing, not just the result of the thing. We must move forward a future where we have processed the processing of how those things should be done, because the work is the work we do every day, and that work is significant. That is like pure marshmallow. There is nothing there. That is fucking empty. Holy shit.
So we're gonna do some little geopolitics coverage before we get into our normal things. There are
Clearly.
two there are two C-17s. One's flying out of London, and one's flying out of Germany, and they're heading in the general direction of Iran. And for those of you who don't know, well, there are some other platforms that can carry the Moab. The C-17 is what primarily carries the Moab. So I mean, good evening, Weebster's been, and yeah, so we may have a Moab situation. And thank you. I found this on Twitter and it was pretty awesome. I enjoy it too. So we're going to talk about some TV and some movies while the Iranian civil war may be about to kick off. It'll be funny.
You know, extra funny. Was talking to a friend the other night, and we were talking about why this sort of thing happens. People like to point out that America was the people that interfered with Iran's government in the first place, and it's like, yeah, but there's a big difference because like Iran was dicking with us under Carter,
Hmm.
right? And then they magically stopped just about the time Reagan got elected, as if there's
Yeah.
a correlation because they knew they couldn't keep dicking with us anymore, right?
Hmm.
And now they're having these economic problems that are leading to, let's call it what it is, popular revolt. I don't care if it's a peaceful protest; it ain't going to be peaceful for real long,
Especially
right?
if Moabs are involved.
Right. And people are grumbling about America's unvarnished support for the action, but again, we have a president who, whether I like him or not, is a fuck around and find out president, which means the people on Operation Fuck Around are not really sure if they can.
Yeah.
And this guy just went into Venezuela and deposed a dictator in less than 24 hours with about 4 hours of action.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun.
Eh,
So we're going to talk about TV shows first
woo.
for a mandated list of things. And looking through the TV shows that were released this year, I have not watched a lot of the TV shows that were released this year. So I'm going to make a better effort in 2026 to watch some TV shows. And I'm going to give the list of shows I would recommend that you watch from the year 2025. And then I'm going to give you the list of the why would you do that to yourself? I mean, I did it to myself because I host a show that's watched by literally singles of people,
Right.
sometimes sometimes tens, maybe
Well, I
not
mean,
dozens.
let's be honest. Right now, it's being watched by person, but we see
Yeah,
you, Wibs, and we're
we
glad
do,
you're here.
we do, we do. But yeah, so I'm gonna mention the shows I recommend. I recommend Pluribus because it's old science fiction that is done in the effective and smart way of science fiction of like, hey, let's have something that's an analogy for a thing. Well, what's the thing it's an analogy for? We're not going to tell you. We're going to make it just vague enough that you and your smart brain, because you're an intelligent audience, can think about all sorts of different things that this is. I really recommend it. It's a good show all around. As a honorable mention, even though it got canceled, is the show Boots because it was a show about actual people, and it elicited feelings because it showed people going through something called a character arc, and
You
it
know, I've been watching some older films. I've been revisiting some fun classics that from childhood. So I have to ask, did it also involve setup and payoff?
it did it
Okay.
did, and it set things up in a way that you didn't realize it until later, and then you're like, oh yeah. I'm going to give a neutral recommendation. It's a show called Hunting Wives. It's about a bunch of rich, debaucherous women in Texas hunting and being corrupt and debaucherous and wealthy. I'm like, yeah, no, this is fine. This is a fine show. It is television, and I'll talk about the worst show I watched, and I'm not going to rate the things that I didn't complete because there were some shows like The Mighty Nine where I was unable to complete it. Alien Earth. Alien Earth was awful. I feel worse for having watched it. Now, it has a lot of interesting ideas, but it doesn't execute any of them well. And it attempts to execute them in a framework of, hey, let's use aliens and the aliens cinematic universe to tell a story about stuff. And I'm like, really? Is that really
You,
what you want to do?
you, you,
Really?
you know, in the same vein, we've talked about this a little bit previously, but I want to bring it back to because it was stuck in my craw enough to be mentioned on the list. Because we're talking about Alien Earth, we can also mention um, Predator Killers of Killers again,
Mm, mm,
right?
mm.
And the upcoming extended Predator material because we're getting more, right?
Uh,
Which I think that this is just evidence not only that Fox Disney's stewardship of the Aliens franchise is terrible,
mm.
but that Dan Trachtenberg specifically needs to be taken out back behind the chemical sheds and shot in Minecraft.
Yeah, but some people got sold on it.
Yeah, they got taken in. I watched the movies. I'm consuming the material. I'm tracking, but the fact of the matter is that my brain still to this day keeps going back to Predator Race War. Okay?
Mm, mm, mm,
Predator Race War was my introductory Predator comic book from Dark Horse, right?
mhm.
Like I had friends who had comics before, and I was like, Predator comics, those are neat. But I had never had a chance to read them. Back when I was a younger grug, I was old enough to go down the street to the store. We had a corner store, and we still had comics in the store on the rack.
Right, right, right.
Okay, so I would go down with, let's say, $3, right? I would get a comic book, and I would get a 2 liter of Sprite for 106, right?
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
it stands out in my brain because it's like you used to be able to get that much soda for a buck and a bit, right?
Mm,
This was God. This had to either be early Clinton or pre-Clinton,
mm,
right? But either way, Alien Race War or Predator Race War rather is about a predator, or rather the predator phenomena being tracked by the American government by a rogue like federal or CAA cell type
mm,
deal,
mm,
right? And one of the hunters has come to Earth, but has invaded a prison, right? And is killing serial killers, killing the people who commit violence in the prison because they're clearly the most
all
violent. We
right.
keep them separate from the rest of the herd, right?
Mm,
So they arranged to have a spook, a action man that lives off the grid, who does super dangerous super shit, to go
mm,
into the prison undercover to find out what's going on.
right,
And once
right.
he's there, he realizes, oh shit, this is way worse than we thought. And so he brokers an alliance because once he's able to prove to the Aryan nations, the army of Islam, and the Latin kings that it's like, look, man, This dude don't care what color your skin is. We're all food, right? The prisoners stage a riot, and during the riot, they kill the predator in the gas chamber. It's fucking amazing, right?
That's dope as hell. I've never read this comic. That sounds like
Oh
a good
man,
time.
it is great. I will set you up. But the thing is that it doesn't hold back. It's violent. It's got swears. It's got gore. It's got all the things you expect of a Predator movie in a comic book format, right?
Yeah.
And then I think about modern Predator, right? And it
And
is
now it's
this.
sanitized and
It's
Disneyfied.
right. It's really sanitized. It's Disneyfied, and they're trying for this vast lore world building. When it's like, dude, you don't need to frame me a giant sweeping story of galactic horror. Just tell a good Predator story. The world will build itself, right? And
Yeah.
that is essentially the same thing with Alien, because Dark Horse, if you recall, used to do Alien books as well, right?
Yes.
And there were the very idea of Aliens versus Predator material came from was you just do a small story on a very focused thing, and it's like, what if X but a xenomorph? That's all you need, right? It's like, well, we could do a very special story about the meaning of humanity with the androids. That's not an alien story. Fuck that noise. But Prometheus is not an alien canon piece. I don't care if uh, Ridley really wants you to think it is. It's so discontinuity that it's something else. It's its own thing. Okay, go be Ancient Alien somewhere else.
Hmm.
Aliens is about xenomorphs. Xenomorphs put their fucking eggs in people's chests. It's about human horror.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I
Uh.
think the very idea of, quote, alien Earth, the xenomorphs get to Earth, is a bad fucking idea. It was bad when Dark Horse Comics did it,
Mhm.
because Dark Horse Comics posits that eventually aliens get on Earth and they take over the planet, and humans have to live in, like, spaceships and sky floaty things in low orbit, right? Um, I think it's a bad idea in fiction, in television. Don't destroy Earth. Keep the xenomorphs a problem elsewhere, so we have a fucking grounding in reality somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So, uh, the doing a list on the movies was a lot easier, but the hard part was what was the worst movie of the year? There were
Oh
so many
man.
excellent candidates,
Oh
but
man.
when I evaluated it, there was only one movie that could be listed as the worst of the year.
3 million hours in paint, a deep analysis of an introspective analysis of what movie
It
was the worst.
wasn't wasn't even deep. So it was a movie that was actually filmed in 2020 that was so bad they sat on it. They sat on it. They dumped it out just in time for a tax write-off. And I'm talking about War of the Worlds. Ice Cube talking to uh, an Apple talk window, hacking, and I'm going to use air quotes. An alien that eats data. It was just there was nothing good there. It was basically, listen, man, we got this property. It's a public domain. Shut up. We have this property, right? Right. And we could just do like a little thing, like all of us on our day off with COVID. We just we just put a background in post. No, it was not good. Which platform is worse for movies or TV? Amazon Prime. It's not even close.
Now, see, there's the question. There's the thing. You say War of the Worlds. I have to ask serious question. Are we sure the worst thing is in fact the thing that is so bad that we cannot bring ourselves to watch it?
Oh no, I watched War of the Worlds.
No, 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 no. So there are several programs we didn't watch. We didn't go out and watch the Marvels to the
It
best of
would
my
be.
memory.
Oh, I watched
We
it.
okay. I didn't watch Secret Invasion.
I wasn't able to get through Secret Invasion, but that wasn't this year.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna drop the name. We have to name our evil. Why is it War of the Worlds and not Rings of Power?
Well, Rings of Power is a TV show. Where we've moved on to the movies.
Okay, but well, it's difficult when we're talking about the streaming because you and I understand that what we're actually looking at when we're watching a show now is a 3-hour movie cut up into 6
Yeah,
episodes. Um,
but I'm treating things as they are,
right.
and I gave the things that are packages TV shows the
Okay.
TV show treatment.
So why is it War of the Worlds? Why do you say War of the Worlds is the abject worst?
So first of all, it was lazy. It was incredibly lazy. It was an attempt to do a cash grab on the ability to do interesting things with editing. None of the actors wanted to be there. It was a public domain property that they didn't do anything interesting with. The graphics were awful. The writing was awful. Everything was bad and no one was trying. And it
Yeah.
wasn't even so bad it was good. It was just bad.
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't disagree with you that it might be the worst thing ever.
Well, it's the worst
But
thing this year.
right, but the thing is that I can't criticize it because I've already seen this movie in another context.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so some time ago, the Slender Man movie, Always Watching, was coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and I took to the high seas allegedly to see it because I didn't quite trust it enough to go to the theater.
Right.
Right, whether I watched it with a friend or whether I previewed it, however it goes down, doesn't matter. The point is that
Mm-hmm.
at a given point, I found a movie that was mismarked. So it was marked as one thing, but it wasn't that thing. It was clearly an accident. No one would upload a shit movie and then give it the wrong name on purpose. That would be awful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it had Ving Rhames in it as the bad
Mm-hmm.
guy, and it was about a dispatcher at a emergency center,
Right. Right.
right? Basically being put in a die hard situation where ominous voice on the phone is going to tell you to do things and you're going to do them or else, right? The thing is that it was structured visually very similar to this War of the Worlds thing, where they basically wanted to do the whole thing with this woman at the desk until they just couldn't, right? And so this is a visual trick, or this is a artiste auteur attempt at verisimilitude by saying, what if you were in an incredibly claustrophobic environment so that we could maximize the emotional impact of what we're looking at? So I can see, like, yeah, sure, there's a cost cutting element, but it's like, all right, we got Ice-T. We're gonna, or not Ice-T, Ice Cube. We got Ice Cube. We're gonna put Ice Cube in front of the camera. He's gonna be sitting at the computer, quote unquote, and we're going to do the entire film from this position, right? And we're going to use his responses to information to drive up the tension as he has front seat to the alien invasion. Like, I could see the idea somebody had to make something good, but I can only assume that what you're saying is that the execution was just utterly awful, which is why they sat on it for 5 years.
Yeah.
But that's
So.
the thing. It's like, in all seriousness, as people who love fun slop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is poor execution enough of a sin to actually be considered the worst thing of 2026 when there are
Well,
really bad
2025.
things, or 2025 when there are really bad things out there that were
Well,
made with more active intent to be shitty?
well, you see, what I'm also going to do is include the most disappointing movies. So
Okay,
I'm
so the,
I'm
So this one is bad. It is the worst, but it is honestly bad.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that is important.
Like Tron Ares. Tron Ares is also on my list of the worst films of this year because everybody talked in expositions. None of the actors were allowed to show emotions. Jared
See,
Leto was in this movie because he was the executive producer, because Disney signed a deal with him when he was winning an Oscar. And then everybody realized Jared Leto's kind of fucking weird. Hey, you remember that last Tron movie? Do we want to continue anything from there? No, no, we don't. We just want to come up with a completely different story that's kind of similar, but different enough so we don't have to pay the original writers. Really?
here's the thing. Here's the thing. So that Tron movie, I've seen it 3 times. Not Ares, the previous one, the previous sequel.
Mhm.
Why have I seen it 3 times? My dad was a Tron fan of the original Tron.
Mm,
He thought
mm,
it was
mm.
art. My mom was like, Tron. But understood it because it's got David Warner. It's not a it's not a badly made film, and it
Mhm.
was uniquely different at the time,
Mhm.
right? So here we are. We got the new Tron. My mom got sick enough she had to be in the hospital, right? So there's
Mhm.
me, there's dad, there's mom. Mom is clearly sleeping. Dad has been working hard and has been up, sitting with mom. So he's watching Tron. I am watching Tron against my will because I cannot go anywhere else. Right? Then my dad falls asleep. Then we watch some other things. So my dad wakes up, remembers that he was watching Tron, and we watch it again. And this happens once more after that. Okay? So I watched it against my will. Then I had to watch it again. And the third time, I'm really trying to understand what the fuck I'm looking at.
Mhm.
Because we've got new Action Man, we've got Jeff Bridges, we've got Bobtail sex character, and we've got Loki. Because I didn't know Tom Hiddleston's name yet. And Tom Hiddleston is being Diet Loki. He's being Compu Loki,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And as far as I can tell, basically the plot of the previous Tron film is Action Man gets sucked into video game and encounters Jeff Bridges in a kimono who found God in the video game and decided he wanted to be Bob from Reboot. But his best friend program that he created is evil now and wants to consume reality because it's the Lawnmower Man,
Kind of, sort of.
right? It's a bunch of disjointed pieces. It was a bad sequel. So when they're like, "We're doing Tron Ares," I'm like, "Why?" And the next, it's not a question of we're doing. It's not a question of get excited for next product. It's like, well, you liked the video game, and we're doing and you liked the cartoon, so we're doing more Tron. It's like doing. It's literally having that moment in Jurassic Park. It's like you were so busy asking if you could do more Tron, you didn't ask, should you do more Tron?
And the answer to that question was no.
The answer to that question is 100% no. So I never checked it out because I understand you're saying it's most disappointing, but like,
No, no, I'm not saying this is
oh,
on the disappointing list.
it's
This
not
is the
even most
bad list.
disappointing. This is just bad. Because
This
the
is on
thing
the
is
bad
that
list.
I never had any expectations for Tron Ares, and
Mhm.
Tron Ares can only go exactly where it's gone, which is we got to get out of the video game and into reality. Why do we need to get into reality? One, it's cheaper to film,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
two, because it's the ultimate threat, right? Because
Mhm.
if you're an uncreative fuck who has no idea
Mhm.
where you're going, the best you can do is, but what if the Matrix was in reality,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And the reason I say what if the Matrix was in reality is because I'm just throwing this out there. So you have Tron. Tron was establishing. Okay, fine. You got people that got sucked into the machine, and the machine is a fantasy land with sci-fi overtones. Cool. The next level, or the next film, was wrapping up Jeff Bridges' story and establishing a new normal. Right, the world was almost invaded by the Tron.
That's not
Okay,
great, but it's not terrible.
right. I posit that the third Tron film should have been the what the fuck's that guy's name? The bald guy that's the traitor in Matrix.
Cypher.
It should have been the Cypher Tron. Instead of everyone's trying to get out of Tron to go into reality, you deal with the question of what about people who want to become digital people? Because digital is better because you don't have to suffer any of the negatives of being flesh space. Right?
Mm.
That's a more interesting story at this juncture. Right? Expand out the questions of what a actual computer life would be like, where the borders are theoretically infinite as long as there's data. Right?
Yeah.
That's a better story. Why didn't we do that? That would have been too expensive. What director we would have had? Matter of point, I don't think it was 2025, but I just want to mention this. Have you been on your BirdNet? Have you been getting a bunch of like "Remember the Inhumans" tags?
Yeah.
Or is that's gaslight, right? That's them trying to make us remember this film and try to gaslight us into thinking it was actually good, and we were lied
Well, the
to.
Inhumans were a TV show that didn't become a TV
Or no,
show
no,
that they
not
made into a
not
movie.
Inhumans. Eternals.
Well, yeah, Eternals
So,
was not a good movie. It was ill conceived and ill thought out.
right, but I keep seeing two kinds of video come up in my feed. Okay, the first one is, oh my god, look at this disconnected anime action scene. Isn't it the fucking hottest shit coming out of China? And I'm like, no, it's another anime fight scene. It means nothing. They all look good. It's a is it Studio Madhouse? Of course it is. Shut the fuck up. Right? But the other one is, oh my god, I can't believe people slept on this movie. Look at this fight in Eternals. Look at this Kumar guy running in Eternals. Look at this amazing visual in Eternals. Visual spectacle doesn't make it good. Visual spectacle is like snorting cocaine or opium, right?
Yeah.
It's designed to pacify you. Get fucked.
So the next movie
Yes,
on this list
we
I
will
want to
get
talk
through this
about,
list.
it's also a movie that had production problems.
Okay.
Um, and then it was a movie that they tried to solve the production problems by redoing the whole movie. And
Okay.
and then the lead actress decided to have a unsolicited opinion about Israel moment. And I'm talking, of course, about Snow White. There's a very interesting point of difference between the classic animated
Be-
Snow White.
okay, so before we dig into this, I do have a stupid question just because the two are related. Is Toxic Avenger on our list?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. The reason
Yeah.
I ask is because we're going to talk about Snow White, and we have to remember that in addition to the lead actress having an unsolicited opinions on Israel moment, Peter Dinklage decided to have a career-destroying comment about his own people. he gave Brad, what's his name, the midget, a fucking year of material that he's still
Oh
making
yeah.
bank off of.
Oh yeah. They're all the other famous midgets have their fuck Peter Dinklage meeting. It's
Right.
great. It's great. The reason I give Snow White a higher ranking, however, than Toxic Avenger, because number one, Toxic Avenger is a remake of a trauma movie. So you have
Right.
to judge it based
You,
on what it's a remake of.
you're
You know,
already making a salad out of trash. We can't judge it as worse than trash.
but something that was pointed out in a lot of the analysis of the original Snow White it ended with the dwarves helping Snow White fight the evil witch, and they were heroic, and it gave the dwarves a purpose and a value. And what I have found in all of these new age outlaws, sort of, we're gonna remake a story for modern audiences to show it's not really out of touch, is they don't pay attention to things like that. They don't pay attention to the heart and soul of things. Like, I remember I took a film class and they talked about how in the original Dracula from the 30s, Dracula's stagecoach that brought Jonathan Harker to his castle didn't have anybody in it because it was alluding to the state of the economy and the depression. Dracula was this powerful, magical, rich asshole who could just summon you without workers.
Right.
And things like that you don't notice, but as Red Letter Media famously said, your brain did.
Right.
Um,
So,
Gal Gadot was horribly miscast.
yeah.
Not that she's a bad actress, but she's not a refined actress to the point that Rachel Zellweger is. Rachel Zellweger was also miscast because they made her do things that made her look like an insufferable bitch.
So,
And
go ahead.
the movie wanted her to be a sympathetic protagonist, and she didn't know how to thread that needle at all.
So you talk often about the monoculture of Hollywood. So I can only assume that when I say the logical thing, it doesn't sell right now. But the weird part about like the Zellweger unsolicited opinions getting problems issue is her behavior is just a reflection of Brie Larson's behavior, which was basically the same with the same
Right.
tangible result,
But
right?
but Brie Larson just gave a vague thing of like saying, this isn't for white males
Right.
versus fuck this whole country, which is a
Right.
potential audience for my movie.
But the thing is that it seems to have become a lost talent in Hollywood. You walk on the carpet, you smile, you say, "Hi, how you doing?" Somebody says, What's your opinion about negative opinions about your movie?" You say, "Well, check it out, see what you think," and just keep walking. Just keep walking. Don't engage. Don't
I
pay
mean,
attention. Just smile and nod and walk.
you have to be a grand master like John Cena when asked about your guilty pleasure movies. He says, "Oh,
Right.
what Green Door?" And he says that to a bunch of young people who didn't know what the Green Door was, and they had to Google it. And then they were very concerned about John Cena.
Random segue, but golden, and I'm gonna make this immortal, even though he's not watching. So I was playing Fortnite with my boss the other day. Okay, because Moody and I sometimes play Fortnite, and we're getting our asses kicked. But I killed John Cena. Right?
Nice.
I killed a guy in a John Cena skin. And I said, "Hey guys, I just killed John Cena. I thought I couldn't see him." And without missing a beat, Moody said, "Well, he didn't have the emote."
Mm, mm, mm.
But here's the other component, right? And I brought up my boss, so this is a good segue. My boss and I often talk about why are things certain ways in the game design field, right? And we recently came to a more clear understanding of our disparate positions. We don't often agree, but we will try to clarify why we feel the way we feel about the same material to try and identify the disconnect. And I espoused that gaming, as an example classroom of our conversation, is subject to consensus, right? Company 1 does a thing. Company 2 does a different thing to diversify themselves a little bit, right? Thing 2 is fantabulously successful, right? So everybody starts doing Thing 2 to try
Mhm.
and glom onto that same success. But they failed in two key areas. One, they don't know why that thing was different.
Mhm.
Right? What did the first guy do that didn't hit? Or why did we have to make that change? So they're throwing out the baby with the bathwater because they're assuming that the original was bad. Right?
Mhm.
And then because they are only copying a mix that they don't fully understand, right? They are building subpar products based on a misunderstanding, right? But that misunderstanding spreads. And that's how you get things like the current structure of diceless gaming, right?
Mhm.
We had games with way too many dice and too many subsystems, so we started trimming out guff to make lighter and lighter systems, right? And not only reach a point where there are simply diceless systems, we reached a point where there are systems so hand wavy that they're not games anymore. There's no game in them. There's no challenge because the people writing it are just like, go do whatever, man. It doesn't matter. It's collaborative storytelling. In that sense, that seems to be a problem Hollywood has, right? So you make a revenge movie, okay? And we all agree revenge bad. But
Mhm.
we all understand that a revenge movie is about the cathartic enjoyment of watching a dude go on a roaring rampage of revenge and destroy bad guys. Right? You watch the original Snow White, because yes, this does actually go back to what we were where we started. In the original Snow White, the dwarves come unglued and try to help fight the evil queen for Snow White. They believe Snow White's dead. They're on a roaring rampage of revenge. Right? The vengeance of the dwarves is upon them. And as we all know, in certain settings, the vengeance of the dwarves is a thing to behold. Right? Modern media says, modern Hollywood says, vengeance is bad. Can't show vengeance as a good thing. We can't show that evil has a comeuppance. Right?
Well, I mean, hold up. Don't forget the movie Payback with Mel Gibson. That was a pretty good movie.
Right, but that was 30 years ago. And that's the thing. 30 years of altered consensus. Now, even though we still can get a revenge film with like Denzel, right? We can still get a violent action film, and that's in the violent action genre. It's like, okay, I'm gonna make what's ostensibly a family and kids movie. Can I show the dwarves going on a roaring rampage of revenge to get the bad person that has just murdered Snow White, and then can I show them being sad about it afterward? No, you can't. Well, why not? It's like, because those are hurtful emotions that'll make someone feel bad. The consensus is wrong and self-defeating.
So, next up on the
Oh,
trash pile.
and by the way, Wibbs, I never had a trauma film collection on VHS. I had taste.
Now, next up on our list is, of course, the Toxic Avenger movie. 'Cause that was awful.
Woo!
Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If they had somebody who gave a shit about being toxic, who actually wanted to put an effort into the role, which I think would actually have made the movie amazing. Like everything else is trash, but you have one person trying. That would have made the movie exceptional. But Peter Dinklage was so cashing a paycheck throughout the whole movie. It made all of the other terrible things even worse.
Okay, serious question.
Mhm.
Does this mean, by extension, that the guy who was the original Toxic Avenger, the guy from the movie, was giving a shit?
If I remember the movie correctly, he was giving a shit.
I mean, because the
It's been,
natural inclination would be to imply that he did not.
I mean, my recollection of the movie was he was putting in an effort. Not as good as the people who were in the original Fantastic Four movie, but he was making
No,
a
that
effort.
that movie is pure effort and it's glorious.
Next on my list, and this is where things start to get a little hinky. Um, I'm going to put the Minecraft movie. I know a lot of people have a whole like meme thing about it, but the Minecraft movie was bad because they didn't think, okay, we're making a Minecraft movie, but why are we making a Minecraft movie? Well, what's it about? They did not think about this because it
Yeah.
it wasn't necessary for them. Jack Black was lazy. Jason Momoa was lazy. The whole thing was just lazy and bad. I don't recommend it. And let me just find where I had this other pin here. And I'm going to end the last one with the last Jurassic World movie. It was almost good enough to be disappointing. Do you remember the last Jurassic World movie?
Oh God, vaguely.
So Scarlett Johansson was playing stock Scarlett Johansson character who's just there to cash a paycheck. They needed to get DNA from dinosaurs to make a cure for diseases. Forgetting, of course, that these dinosaurs were, made in the lab. And the companies that made the dinosaurs in the lab, they didn't go away. So their data still exists. And it's not like it was the super awesome T-Rex 2000 dinosaur that was like a completely fabricated dinosaur that they were looking for. No, they were looking with stock off the shelf dinosaurs. And there was a stock character who was like, shouldn't we, not give the evil corporations the cure to diseases that kill hundreds of thousands of people every year? I mean, the pricing's kind of shitty, but corporations do have all of the drug manufacturing facilities. You're they're
Right.
going to need to get that information one way or the other. You could make a good negotiation later. There was also a random family that was there for some reason, and there was a character who had a fake redemptive arc. Uh, it was just lazy try hard, and even the dinosaurs in the movie were a metaphor for how the Jurassic World franchise has played out. Now, I want you to
So,
imagine, Joe. I
so
want you
what
to
you're saying
imagine.
is that even the CGI dinosaurs were tired of being in this movie.
Well, no. Here's the thing. In the movie, in the setting of the movie, there was a dinosaur that had escaped its enclosure in New York City. And everybody was just bored and in a tedious traffic jam in New York, waiting for them to get the equipment to move the dinosaur out so it could be processed because it died when it escaped. The dinosaur was just something that delayed traffic. The zoos that had the dinosaurs were still struggling with attendance. Now, Joe, could you imagine? I mean, first of all, having dinosaurs in a modern setting in a zoo is a terrible idea. Your lawyer and your insurance people should be strangling you for coming up with it. But we're going to pretend for a moment that's not a problem. Can you imagine if there were honest to God real dinosaurs? People not wanting to go there and see dinosaurs.
I mean, people would go.
Yeah, it's dumb, and the movie should feel bad for being dumb. So let's see. That's four. That's four of the bottom five, or did I hit five?
Uh, I mean, it's hard to tell. Somewhere, something.
I did. I got one more. I got one more in me for the bottom five.
Okay.
And that no, I did Tron Ares. Okay, so no, we did five. Now we're gonna get to the disappointing list.
Okay.
These are movies that they were worse than bad because they were so utterly forgettable. And top of that list is The Running Man.
Yes, I'm gonna cut you off here just for
Mhm.
clarity. The Running Man really disappoints me.
It's not that
Um,
that movie was bad. Things were
no, it's that
constructed
that
well.
book was so good.
Yes. It's not that the key actors did bad performances. It's that all the pieces were plugged in a stupid way.
Well, see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. The
Mhm,
reason I specifically say it is uh unfortunate because that book was so good is obviously we here at the Gospel love the Arnie era Running Man film.
'cause it's a
We got
great
no
movie.
problem. We got no problem with that movie, right?
Mhm,
But as someone who has read the book, I I would like a Running Man that is book accurate. I think that
mhm,
would be a good thing to have, right? And this had the potential. I was like, "Oh man, they're going to do a book accurate Running Man. This is going to be great." And then it wasn't. In fact, uh the the feeling I got from it was superficially similar, not to say the Total Recall remake, right?
mhm.
Which a lot of people would jump to because that's also an Arnold movie, right? But this felt a lot like the name of the remake just fell out of the back of my brain just as I was about to say it. Um like the RoboCop remake,
I mean,
right?
both of those other
Or
remakes you mentioned are terrible.
right, but at least the Total Recall remake was trying to be good, right? What I have encountered is that basically the Running Man remake is just mean spirited. It hates being the Running
Mhm.
Man, and it
Yeah,
frankly is not happy that you want to be the Running Man,
yeah.
or the, you know,
And this is one of those cases where I didn't know the original protagonist from the book was black. And no offense to the actor who played the part, great actor. He needs to be in more things. I think having a black man in that lead role would have improved that movie, in my personal opinion.
it, well that's the other permutation of the disappointment actually. Not the lack of a man of color, like that is its own thing, but this is a Stephen King book,
Hmm.
right? Which means that Richard Bachman, King through Bachman, wrote a book about a black man dealing with literally the systems of oppression,
Hmm.
right? That were literally leading to his death and fighting the man. It's literally a book about fighting the man,
Hmm.
right? Decades ago.
Like,
And then we have to,
could you imagine making the original movies like a black exploitation movie?
oh yeah.
That would have
But
been
the
fucking amazing.
but the reason I mention it though is that then think about modern King. Think about what we got,
Yeah.
right? Because you have to compare the Running Man and all that it is, right, to um the Longest Walk, right?
Now, The Longest Walk would be on this list if it weren't for the fact that it was just shit.
Yeah, it was just been
But let me go into a movie that I was really looking forward to that was really disappointing, which is Mickey 17. Do you remember Mickey 17?
I remember the premise of Nikki 17 existing.
So, Mickey 17 was supposed to be a movie about a guy who was on a space mission and he had some clone shenanigans. Going into deep space is dangerous, and so they just make clones of you, right?
Right.
That would have been good. If they had just focused on that premise, but instead, um, there was a hook with the mob, and the mob somehow was on his deep space mission, and he had to do the mob, and then there was Mark Ruffalo playing basically Donald Trump, which was weird, and him having to deeply connect with an alien species, and then they made a communist utopia on the space colony.
It,
It was all just none of that had to be that way.
This is actually the problem in a lot of modern sci-fi. Let's go back to Alien for just a minute. Okay.
Right.
We're on alien Earth. We're gonna do a story about aliens on Earth. Okay. What do we got? What are our earmarked pieces? We have humans, we have the corporation, we have corpo life, doesn't it suck? Fine. You want to add androids? Fine. Right? But what is the core of that piece that we're gonna make? A xenomorph on the loose. There's going to be aliens in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So no matter what your framing device, all you have to do to satisfy your audience and succeed is Xenomorph exists, gets loose, people die. Hopefully you kill Xenomorph by the end. Right? And you can see some ways they could work. Like, okay, we're gonna be at a lab. We're doing some exotic black market or black budget experimentation on an alien. Oh shit, it's loose. Oh god, it's eating people. Lock it down. But it's locked down. No, we can't get out. No one gets out until it's dead. Multiple episodes. Done. Okay. You want to do a lead in for something? Obviously, the company covers it up. The company is not your friend, right? Tight, focused story. Okay. You propose people check out Pluribus, right?
Mhm.
Now Pluribus says I'm going to give you a basic premise, but then I'm not going to give you any answers about it. You got to figure out what those answers are to yourself, right? But what is its basic thesis? Aliens come to Earth. Okay, what do the aliens do? They're a hive mind. Okay, what does the hive mind do? Everyone's joining the hive mind. So what's the story about? The one or two or three people who don't and can't. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Are there any other ideas going on? Not really. I mean, there might
Well,
be. There might be questions.
Well, I mean,
But
there are some things that are going on because they've explored the inner life of the hive mind.
right, but it's always through the perspective, the focus, and the emphasis on this is a person. This is the outsider looking
Mhm.
into what it looks like to be in the in group. Right?
Yeah.
You're looking into what it is to be outside the in group.
Mhm.
They understand that their homework is to keep a laser focus on their entry point, right?
Mhm.
So now we go back to Mickey 16, right?
17.
Or 17. All right, we're gonna do a movie. It's gonna be about clones. Got it. So we're gonna have a story about the disposability of human life. Okay, but wait, there's also communist utopia. There's also aliens. There's also space mob. How does
And
all of this extra guff, admittedly, all of it possibly good guff in its own thing,
yeah.
how does any of this actually enhance our basic thesis, which is Mickey 17 is a clone and Mickey 17 has a horrible life?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Um, so this is my second most disappointing movie of the year. Third most.
One last comparison, just as it occurs to me.
Mhm.
I will grant you that in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a bunch of disconnected stuff happens, but that's because Hitchhiker's Guide is absurdist.
Mhm.
The dark undercurrent is that nothing matters in Hitchhiker's Guide.
That is literally the whole point of Zaphod Beeblebrox.
Right. If Mickey 17 was going for a Hitchhiker's Guide feel, that is a very difficult landing to make because none of the live action Hitchhiker's Guides have hit it.
No, no. I mean, the BBC show kinda did, kinda.
the
But
best thing the best thing the BBC show had going for it was a lack of budget. So its diet Doctor Who-ness was almost dystopian in and of itself. The lack of budget made it more Kafka-esque.
mm, so the next one,
Yep.
I had to struggle because I could have filled this whole section with the three major comic book movies, but
Right.
I have to go with Superman for the next disappointment.
Disappointing, yes.
And it's not so much disappointing by what it put on the screen, but it is. This was supposed to be the cornerstone of the DCEU or the DCU or whatever we're calling it now. And it wasn't good. It was, what if we could make Guardians of the Galaxy into a Superman story? What? No? That's not how that works. That's not
I
how any of this works.
So obviously we can pick into particulars. We can talk about how
Mhm.
James Gunn's being a hack and probably always was.
Yeah.
We can talk about how Warner Brothers makes a succession of bad decisions. Things we have talked about every time we have brought up this movie or similar films over the last
Mhm.
couple of years.
Mhm.
I want to posit not only could this movie never have been good, because as I said before, there are just way too many things running on it to be successful. For it to be successful, it's doomed.
Mhm.
Okay, but I want to posit that comics fans, as a comics fan, are full of shit. They do not know what they want, and Warner Brothers trying to appease them one way or the other has been their undoing. They have failed at subversion. They have failed at giving the audience what they want. They
Mhm.
cannot succeed. There is no success. Okay?
Mhm.
And here's why I will say this. So there was recently a post from Arkham Punk, a person claiming to be DC Animated Media, um, giving cry emojis because Damian Wayne said something funny in an animated feature that came out several years ago. Right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I said, I know DC wants to push Damian, but I just want to say, Bruce, it's not too late to abort.
Look. The concept of Damien isn't bad. It's just they don't
No,
want
the
to commit to
no.
execution.
The concept of Damien was always bad, and I will always go back to the same old man argument. If it didn't work for Dick Tracy to have a Dick Tracy Jr., it will not work to have Batman Jr. Get fucked.
I
But
mean, they had a Batman Jr. before Damian Wayne ever existed. Just
but
saying.
somebody named Argan, and I want to be clear, I
Mhm.
was nice to Argy here. Uh, Someone named Argy came out and said Damien is practically the prevalent Robin, and I said yes. After they demoted everyone else to secondary and pushed Bart Simpson so hard the readers were gagging on it. To which I'm not kidding. This is the man's name. I didn't make it up. Goku Saiyan says you have to read his current comics. They're good. He's currently married and has a son, Alfred Wayne. And I said, how would that not be an equally qualitative character trait with Dick, Jason, or Tim? Right? To which
Yeah.
to which Goku Saiyan said, I recommend you read the comics yourself. My perspective on the character may be different from yours. Read the 2021 Robin comic by Joshua W. and the 2025 Batman and Robin comic. So I said something nice. I
Mhm.
said, I'm a cranky old man and long studied in the ways of comics. We get very heated and try to defend our positions, whether objectively correct or untenable, on to near violence.
Mhm.
However, I respect someone who actually remembers to build up the book. So perhaps I will. I basically said to this guy, look, rather than get into the pit with me and talk about how I'm full of shit, you said, read the books, man. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I will. Hmm.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, but I'm gonna now speak ill of this man and say that the thing is, okay,
Mhm.
is that if my position on why we don't need Damian Wayne is literally, come on, man. We're 3 Robins in. We've had Girl Robin. What is this? This is edgy Bart Simpson Robin. Okay, well, why
So
is he edgy Bart Simpson Robin? Because he's Batman's son. It's son of Batman, the Batman son, Bat son. It's
no,
not a
no,
good character.
he's
It was
edgy because
never.
he's edgy because he was raised by evil ninjas.
No, that's just the pretext. Okay? What I'm saying is that this is corporate slop, right? Literally. The reason I call him Bart Simpson is because the Simpsons made the joke of it. He's a Robin with a new Fox attitude. We got the edgier Robin. The Robin that's going to be edgier than the Teen Titans Robin. The Robin that's going to be edgier than Tim Drake and Jason Todd, because this is the one that when he's a grown up and he becomes Batman, wears a trench coat. Yeah. Fuck you. That's trash. We know that's trash.
But I do want to mention specifically why I didn't put Fantastic Four or quote unquote the New Avengers in this slot.
Well,
Fantastic Four
to
was
round out why I bring up all this Batman and Robin stuff, I'm just saying, if this is the level of fan that is arguing about the rightness or wrongness of the DC material, Superman couldn't have been good. Superman could only be disappointing.
so the reason I didn't include
Yeah.
Fantastic Four in here is while there was a lot of memes about how this is going to reset everything and blah blah blah. Nobody believes that. Not even the people posting that.
I mean, they're
And
trying to push. They're trying to sell you now that no, you have to watch the Marvels because it has the X-Men clip, because the X-Men are coming, and that's going to be the game changer, because they know that Fantastic Four is not going to be now.
well, it wasn't. That's in our past. We know that because it happened.
Yeah.
And the New Avengers was, hey, let's take a bunch of characters that nobody really is very emotionally invested in, and then we ruin all the things that might make a person emotionally invested in those characters, and then make it into a movie about depression. That was just an awful experience. Why would you do that? Why would you? Why would you make that as an experience?
I mean, it's at least in part because they also went out of their way to choose the wrong focus character.
Hmm?
So here's the thing: the focus character for Thunderbolts / New Avengers is Yelena, right?
Hmm? Hmm?
And I'm going to credit the actress. Yelena could be a focus character.
Yes.
Could. Okay, she's capable. She can do her job. But you know who should have been the focus character here? Bob.
Walker.
Bob.
Well, Bob. Bob would have been a good focus character.
You could do Walker. You could do Yelena. You could do other people. But I want to posit why Bob. So the Void is the ultimate antagonist of that film. Spoilers for a film that you're not going to see. And so our introduction to Bob is vital. We need to know who Bob is. We need to know what Bob does. Okay? And you do Bob's story, right? You almost Sam Raimi it, right? Very much like the beginning of Spider-Man. If somebody told you that my story was a happy one, someone lied. Right? So you present the idea that we have Bob, this person who had a horrible life, and through their poor decision making has found ways to medicate their life rather than deal with it, right? And you introduce the Void, albeit obliquely, very early, as this predatory force in his life. He is being hunted in some fashion, right? And then you introduce the Thunderbolts. You introduce Bob to these people that are this fucked up found family of rejects, and they have to defend Bob from something. They're not quite sure what's going on, but that's the job. That's the nature of the problem,
Mhm.
right? And as Bob builds friendships, as Bob gets closer to these people, and as they get closer to the truth, right? You have this omnipresent feeling from the void that it's like, you don't deserve friends, you don't deserve happiness, and when they find out who you really are, they're going to hate you. Right? Right? And Bob doesn't know why, but Bob is very worried about this. Right? And then you get to the final act when we find out, oh shit, Bob is the void. Bob has always been the void. And the void is, in fact, Bob's negative traits ramped up to 11 as a predatory force. The Hulk is angry, but the Hulk wants to protect Banner because the Hulk understands that the Hulk doesn't exist without Banner, right?
Mhm.
The Void is self-destructive. The Void doesn't give a shit if it dies and takes a bunch of people with it. In fact, that's preferable, right? And so you get the same ultimate beat, which is Bob gets pulled back from the brink because the Thunderbolts accept him, right?
Mhm.
But you don't make it we hugged it out, right? We hug out the evil. You you make it that these people are fighting for Bob and dying for Bob, or gonna near die for Bob,
Mhm.
and Bob finds the heroism to fight back because he's not alone. It's not just him in the void, but bump. He has friends. He has meaning. He has value. That's a fucking story. And that's why Thunderbolts is disappointing because it had all the pieces for a story and
Yeah.
used none of them.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's even worse. It's so disappointing. Doesn't even make the disappointing list.
Wow, it fell off the disappointment list.
Yes, but I was just we were
Is it?
merely discussing it to show why it wasn't on the
Is it
list.
right? So is it on the depression list?
I can only do so many lists. But next up on the disappointment list is Ballerina from the John Wick universe.
It's extra funny. My friend David has been watching that, and he's trying to sell me on it that it's good, and I'm like,
I mean, it's not.
David, no. But on the other hand, just so people know we're not a bunch of haters, I am super enthusiastically excited for the John Wick video game.
I mean, the John Wick video game is probably going to be dope as hell.
Oh yeah, third person assassination simulator with you literally playing CGI Keanu Reeves. I am down. I will
You
Agent
know,
47 the shit out of that game.
you know what's funny? They said that they shouldn't make an Agent 47 James Bond video game, and I'm like, the fuck you mean you shouldn't make that?
Fuck. Well, I mean they did. It's called Hitman, but
But, but I mean, you should absolutely make that as a thing. You should
right.
absolutely do that. But the problem with the ballerina is, it's like, well, okay, have her. She's a ballerina. It's different than what John Wick is in the organization as a hitman. Okay, do we kind of relate how her being a ballerina makes that different? No, we're not gonna. Okay, so she's just gonna shoot people. Yeah, and she's gonna do martial arts. Well, that's disappointing.
It's girl John Wick without John Wick, and it's also
No, no,
Diet Black Widow.
no, no. It's worse. It's worse. It's with John Wick. John Wick shows up in the third act because
Right.
he's hired to kill her. And then he's like, no, you know what? We're just gonna kill the bad guys instead. And that is why that is a disappointing movie. Now the next slot on our disappointing movie list, I had a lot of contenders for,
Hmm.
uh, but I kind of had to, trim it down. And the Naked Gun, the
Yes.
Naked Gun closes out the disappointing list because it didn't understand what the original Naked Gun was. It didn't understand the humor. It didn't
So
understand how to make a movie that's funny within the context of our contemporary humor.
so here's the thing. There are some bits of that film
Mhm.
because it's made of bits, so there are some bits that are absolutely hilarious. Okay. And then there are some bits that are the joke goes on too long, the joke is too brazen,
Mhm.
the joke is just not funny, right?
Yeah, the not funny part happens a lot.
Yeah, I have to give Seth MacFarlane to some degree, but also specifically Liam Neeson credit where credit's due, that Liam Neeson understands comedic timing. He's
Mhm.
delivering his lines and doing his part as best he can, as only Liam Neeson could do. And if this movie was better, I would argue that he is a fine inheritor of
Mhm.
Leslie Nielsen's mantle.
Mhm.
Okay. In particular things that I thought were hilarious. The thermal vision imaging scene
Mhm. Mhm.
is amazing. I like the scene with Liam Neeson in the bar when he's trying to pump the barman for information, and the barman is outlining their dramatic and antagonistic history because of all of the people of color Liam Neeson has viciously murdered, to the extent that the only reason he figures out who it is because the one white guy he shot.
Yeah.
um, but then it's like the opening bit from that movie, the schoolgirl bit or the Girl
Mhm.
Scout bit, it's not as funny as they thought it was. Liam Neeson in a dress does not quite do it for me.
Now, I'm gonna move into
Hmm.
good movies.
Oh my god, this is gonna be a short list.
No, 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 no. I was able to come up with 5 good movies,
Okay,
and I'm gonna go with number 5 is K-pop Demon Hunters. Now,
I
why did
haven't
I
I
put
haven't
it as
watched it yet, but I keep thinking I should.
why did I put it at number 5? Because there's a subplot about one of the main characters being part demon and having to come to terms with being a good person and also being part demon. And she's able to seduce a demon boy into being good again. The reason it gets on the list is the overall story. It's excellent. Animation is excellent. It's a good blending of Korean and American norms. It plays off of the K-pop culture in a way that Americans who just barely have their toe in it understand it. But if you don't, you still understand it. And it focuses on general things about how, community harmony is what leads to a prosperous society. That's something that appeals to both Asian and Western values. It was good because it told the story well, and where it innovated using the actual techniques of animation. So I recommend that movie. Then we have Weapons. So Weapons was about a bunch of kids getting kidnapped by an evil witch. And it's a eh, it's a weird cross timeline thing. Like, there's multiple vantage points, there's no real linear timeline. They're unreliable narrators, you have to put everything together. But the whole movie is made of the ending scene when the witch's control over all the children she's kidnapped is broken, and the children turn into a murder mob and they rip the witch apart. Like that character that Dionysus had the women, the Maenads rip apart.
Right.
That movie is on the list because it understands setup and payoff. And boy, howdy, does that movie pay off if you're into horror. It pays off horror well by having a good gruesome kill. Good, gruesome, gruesome kill. It's very good. I strongly recommend it
Look,
if you haven't seen it.
it's so gruesome that Larry forgot how to speak English.
I did for a moment. I had had a little oopsie doopsie. Now number 3 on the list.
we call that an Ayrton moment, but he's not here.
Yeah, yeah. Number 3 on the list was F1 the movie. You remember F1?
Yes.
Do you remember what F1 was
But
about?
I thought K-pop Demon Hunters was number 5.
It is. We're going from the bottom to the top.
Right. So this is number 4, not number 3.
No. Number 4 was Weapons.
Oh, you didn't say Weapons.
I did. We both had a senior moment. It's fine.
Yeah, but it's expected of me. I'm the senior here.
I thought I was older than you.
You might be. Mysteries for the audience to figure out.
But F1. F1
F1
is a classic by the numbers sports story. The old guy who's very good and talented but never got there gets brought out of quasi-retirement by a friend of his who's actually a coach or an owner or a well-connected person to help a up-and-coming guy who's got all the talent in the world, but he doesn't have that intangible ability to become a champion. It works. It always works in sports stories. It's even worked in racing movies before. But you know what they haven't done? They didn't do it with Formula One. And since they're doing
Right.
Formula One, they added another layer about a plucky engineer who said, you know what, I'm figuring out the baddest ass form of cars to be able to drive and do, things faster and stuff, which is a major part of car racing stuff. So F5 is on the list because it knew what its job was, and it did it, and it didn't fuck around with doing its job.
Okay.
It is, in fact, that simple. Number 2 was hard for me. Number 2 was a hard thing for me to pick out. But I'm going with Zootopia 2.
You know what? Interesting thing. I recently finally got to see Zootopia 2 with my friend Ty. We had watched Zootopia 1.
Mhm.
We didn't watch the shorts. I don't care about those, but we were down to watch the sequel, and we consumed it, and it's not bad. I find it a lot more middle of the road compared to the first one. Okay. It has a couple of pretty good like nods and sight gags.
Mhm.
There is only one thing that's stuck in my craw, and it's because I've spent too much time on the internet.
What's that one thing?
That fucking snake always asks permission to coil up on people.
Well, because coiling up on people is a form of intimacy.
Right, that's the thing. That's like I said this to Ty. I was like, Ty, that I fucking hate this. And they're like, why? It's like, here's the reason. And they're like, no, Joe, it's not that. They're just a nice snake. And I'm like, but no, okay. Spoilers if you haven't seen fucking Zootopia 2. The rabbit's freezing to death. Okay, shit is legit. The snake is freezing to death. Right?
Mhm.
There is no time for any bullshit. Right? And the snake is like, do I have your permission to hug? It's like, no, fucking hug the snake. Get it done. Right?
Mhm.
When when I was a kid, I remember seeing a film in school, okay, and it was dramatized, but it was one of the things it was about was how you deal with hypothermia, right?
Mhm.
If you have a friend who is in a state of hypothermia, you wrap them up. You may or may not remove clothes, depending, right? But then if you don't have other sources of heat, which may not be enough, and you certainly want like fire and other things you can get them, someone gets into their skivvies, right, and gets into the sleeping space with the hypothermic person,
Mhm.
right? Because you're going to share the body heat, right? Just close
Mhm.
proximity. This is saving their life. It's not
Yes.
sexy times. It's not so you can grope them, right? There's nothing untoward going on here. And quite frankly, they're in hypothermia. They don't care. They're not going to ask you permission. If anything, they're going to say, "Thank you for saving my life," right? Likewise, at the end of the movie, everybody's celebrating, everybody's at the party, everybody's having a wonderful time. The good guys have won, the bad guys have lost. You don't say, "Can I hug you?" You say, "Bring it in." This is how human beings act. And don't tell me, "Oh, but Joe, it's a movie about animals. They have different. They're fucking people. People act like people. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody on God's green earth goes around and on every social encounter says, "I am now going to touch you with my hands. Please do not become offended. May I now interact with you in a physical format? Yes, please, or no." That robot doesn't exist. And that takes me right the fuck out the movie. But other than that, I mean, like in terms of plot, in terms of jokes, it's good. Uh, I
Mhm.
I I could have used less beaver.
Yeah.
I also want to know, Hollywood, when did it become okay to make slurs? Because I'm pretty sure making all of your gays into beavers is bordering on a slur.
Well, it's only a slur if they're women who are homosexuals.
Right, but the thing is that there's the female beaver in Zootopia, right?
Mhm.
And you go, "Okay, well, look, Joe, that's just a beaver. Some beavers are female. You're thinking too much about it." I'm like, "Okay, fine." Except there is a commie Animal Farm beaver movie coming out, which is Avatar with Robo Beaver,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And yet again, it's multiple women being obsessed with beaver. We're making beaver jokes. This is a gay slur. This is a gay slur by visual proxy.
Uh-huh.
Okay? I I am a child of the 80s, but I was still watching cartoons in the 90s. I remember Cow and Chicken when the bull dyke showed up and ate the carpet of their house. All right? I know what this
I
looks like.
mean, I mean that was a different kind of humor.
I mean, yes,
Count.
they were way more obvious about it.
Yes. Yes. But my number one best
All
movie
right.
of the year, and it's not the best on all of its fundamentals, but it's the best in a holistic package. And it's a
Okay.
little movie that came out on Amazon Prime called Heads of State, where you had John Cena playing heroic American action movie star turned American president,
President Cena,
President Cena, and Idris Elba playing Black James Bond, who decided to become Prime Minister of Great Britain.
Prime Minister Elba.
Exactly, exactly. And there's a plot to destroy both countries and to pit the world into war and chaos to make money off of it. And the president and the prime minister have to do an action movie. And it's got all the dumb 80s and 90s action movie vibes into it. The plot isn't quite there. They needed to lean fully into the stupid. But you know why it's my number one movie? It's because it was fun. The movie didn't take itself seriously. But John Cena's character talked about how, I did a tour, my first major movie, and I saw the world and I saw how people were doing, and I felt like, man, I need to figure out a way to use my platform to make the world better for other people. And so when the opportunity came, I ran for president. And his character had done many good things for people in the world. And that is such a quintessentially American character. And Idris Elba's character had a romantic subplot, and he couldn't be with the woman because of some spy nonsense. He said, "No, I want to make a world where I could be with this woman that I love." And that he's a very Britishy kind of character. It was just good and fun, and it was well written. I do have some dishonorable and honorable mentions.
So I wanna mention something real quick.
Mm,
Um, your description of this movie, Heads of State, which I haven't seen because of course I can't see John Cena. Ho
mm.
ho. Uh, sounds superficially similar to a movie I love. Do you remember a movie from the 90s called My Fellow Americans?
Yes, it was
W-
a
would you
fun movie.
would you say it has the same kind of energy?
It has a very similar energy. Yes.
For people who don't know, My Fellow Americans has James Garner, who was Jim Rockford and the original Maverick on the Maverick TV show, and Jack Lemmon, who was one of the duo of the Odd Couple with Walter Matthau in the original film and TV show. Um, and they are presidents, like two sequential presidents, so they're still both alive at the same time, who do not like each other. They feud over everything, policy, relationships. You know, where bacon versus sausage. They utterly despise each other, and they end up on a road trip going across America. Right. The
Mm,
uh, the thing is that my favorite scene is when they get taken to task by a family of absolute rednecks. Right, because being elites and important people at the top, they were isolated from the reality of how their piss poor presidential decisions affected people, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, we kind of sucked as presidents, didn't we?"
mm,
so
mm.
so when you again supporting what you said, when you posit the idea that it's a movie in which the actual person who's our most senior president is like, I don't know if I'm good at this, but I know I care about people. It's like, yeah, that's basically what America has always wanted. That is what
Yeah.
the actual America wants. We want leaders who care about the people that they supposedly serve. Weirdest fucking thing.
Mhm, mhm. So, so we're going to talk about some honorable and dishonorable mentions, and one of the ones I put on there was Red Sonja. The problem
Holy.
about Red Sonja is I didn't know if it was more disappointing or more bad. It sort of hit the sweet spot between is this just a bad movie or a hyper disappointing movie?
Well, let's much of the same ways we were talking about Running Man. Let's be fair. Um, is it mentioned for badness because it's also a bad Howard pastiche?
Well, it's actually a pastiche of the Marvel Red Sonja and the other comics Red Sonjas.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's like there's been a lot of bad Red Sonja. How does this bear special remark besides the fact that they could have been good and they just chose not to?
Well, no. The badness is not about its Red Sonja-ness. The badness is in the acting, the costuming, all the decisions that were made.
I I just hate that it inspired real idiots to come out of the woodwork.
Mhm.
So one of the few things you said was a positive of this film is that it had an ape man in it.
It did,
Because
yes.
Howard ape man solid. I was trolling around the internet and I came across someone's comments about the Red Sonja film and they were like, "Why was there an alien?" And it's like, what the fuck do you mean? And I can only assume it's because the person in question had no knowledge of Red Sonja's actual origins and just thought that like ape men were not a thing in Howard writing,
Mhm.
right? And that's the thing is that I can't even be mad at this person because Red Sonja is so bad at being a pastiche of Red Sonja that you could forget it's a Red Sonja movie and nothing would change. It wouldn't get better. it is not one of those films that magically gets better if you say it's just don't associate it with the franchise it claims to be. You can say this is a Beastmaster movie and it's still shit.
Yes. Yes. Then we also have Brave New World by Captain America. This one was not, while it was bad, it was not top 5
do,
bad,
do
but
you
it
mean someone
was.
actually named Captain America, or do you mean the actor that played Captain America recently?
No, there was a Brave New World movie called Captain America Brave New
Oh, oh, Captain America: Brave New World. You said Captain America by, or Brave New World by Captain America, and I was like,
World.
someone named
No.
Captain America? No, you're talking
Yeah.
about the Falcon and Hulk movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't good, but it wasn't like top 5 bad, but it was really disappointing because you could have just you could just had uh, the leader as the villain and not involve the Red Hulk in there. You could have hinted at the Red Hulk later. But like all the plot was just so convoluted.
Okay,
And
so two things real quick. The first is that you're right. They could have done it better, but I actually don't think that the idea that the leader is drugging the president of the United States to turn him into a Hulk is actually a bad plot idea, right?
no, the problem is that they weren't willing to commit to him as the villain.
Right. But I also think very key is they're also unwilling to commit to the leader as a villain.
Yeah.
Okay, and the reason that's pertinent is a lot of people said this is Nolan's fault. I don't think this is Nolan's fault, but I do think that it is a thing that has outlived its welcome. Like we could have stopped with the grounded superhero thing after Ultron,
Mhm.
because clearly we're no longer dealing in reality. Just make the leader be the leader.
Yeah.
Right? They presented the leader as this conflicted villain who is angry at the government for using him, right? When the fact of the matter is like, no, do the leader as the leader is in the comic books. Lean into that as hard as you can. And
Mhm.
somebody's like, what do you mean? It's like the leader is a dude with a giant cranium who's green, who wants to rule the world. And it's like, why are you doing this? It's like, because when I defame the American president and humiliate him by turning him into a Red Hulk in front of a live studio audience, and the world is made unbalanced, the leader will be ideally placed to take over the world. And it's like, you know what? That is a villain plot. You are a bad man.
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
very
Absolutely.
much like our conversation last week about which is funny again because uh gaslighting trailers are cropping up. Namor and Wonder Man,
Mhm.
right? Where it's like you could just do the Masters of Evil,
It's Namor.
right? Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wh-
Another thing that I could have put into the mix for the top movies uh was Sinners. The problem with Sinners is had a good start, had a interesting ending. The middle part was very doughy. It was a very good, flavorful representation of the South in that particular 1920s and 1930s period. It was tasty and good. And at the ending, we had an old blues man who survived being at a murder attempt from vampires. Just how we got there got kind of screwed up. There's like a whole thing about like musical, magical culture and stuff, and they just didn't really make that work. But Ryan Coogler, all credit to him. He used his juice to get a really good deal with the studio, and other people are going to follow his example because this worked out for the studio. It helped Warner Brothers make so much money that Netflix bought them out. So Ryan did good solid there. Uh, so that's another positive movie that we can bring in, but didn't make it to the tippy toppy of things. Let me see. What was the other one I was wanting to talk about here?
But by the way, Wibs, I've told real quick to put together my thoughts,
Mm,
and to answer your question, Somewhere in Time by Iron Maiden, Constrictor by Alice Cooper, and 5150 by Van Halen.
nice. Uh, they also
he,
had a
he asked, "What are your top 3 metal records of 1986?"
okay,
And I was like,
okay.
You know what? That I have to look it up because that is a very specific year, but those all came out that year.
Yeah,
If I had to say which is my actual favorite, I am most likely to probably listen to Constrictor than I am to dig into others. But the fact of the matter is like, I honestly, sorry to say, I'm not a Motorhead guy. I understand Metallica did Master of Puppets and Megadeth did Raw Delivery, but well, a lot of stuff I could do without. So, but, I don't need Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet. Uh, Sabbath is not my bag really, although I do like me some Ozzy on occasion. Although I will mention that is the year Queen's What a Kind of Magic came out. So yay.
and It's a
All
Kind of
right,
Magic is a fascinating album.
it
Also
is.
on my list, a movie that could have easily been put in the worst movies list, but I didn't do it. Alto Nights. Do you want to know why I didn't do that? It wasn't
I
really a
I've heard this
movie.
name, but I don't remember what it was about. Yeah.
So it was a movie where Pesci and De Niro played, foundational mobsters, right?
Right, that one. Yeah, it
And the
came and
movie
went with nary a word.
and the movie was basically Pesci and De Niro sitting down a lot. And I'm like, guys, you, if you really need the money, and I know why De Niro needs the money, it's because he has a restaurant that he has like his wife involved in, and something that's losing a shit ton of money. So every so often he
Uh,
embarrasses himself.
Well, I mean, he just embarrassed himself recently. He claims he's leaving New York because the new mayor is out to steal his money.
Really, De Niro claimed that. That's shocking.
Well, specifically, he's concerned about economic shifts that the mayor's going to bring. So he's like, "Look, I'm living mostly off of my retirement money. I don't have money to spare. I gotta go. I can't live here no more."
He also has like a film festival that loses money, so every so often he makes an embarrassing movie to throw in there. So I didn't want to rank that because again, he was an old man who had done great things, who just is lingering. Do you remember the movie Novocaine?
Vaguely.
So it's about a guy who doesn't feel pain, and he becomes like a violent asshole. The problem with this movie is they should have leaned more into him becoming like a deranged psychopath.
Okay.
Ano- Another movie I could have included in the worst list, but I didn't, was Lilo and Stitch. Because really, the only thing that made it a worst movie was how it removed the entire moral core of the movie and
Y-
replaced it with evil.
So, so here's the thing. I understand what you're putting down. I understand where you're coming from, but I'm going to use less adversarial language, and that's a surprise coming from me, by saying it's not even that it's evil. It's if Lilo and Stitch the film had been fractionally worse, right?
Mhm.
It would have been on the bad list. If it had been fractionally better, it could have been on the disappointing list.
Mhm.
As it was, it is basically in the list of pure middle of the road invisible, right? Its fixed ending thesis doesn't work, and please, no one who liked the original. The lack of the actual villain of the film, the original villain, didn't please people who like the original or like a structured narrative. And quite frankly, the Lilo and Stitch dynamic didn't appeal to new viewers or old. It failed on every level. It was just a bland, flavorless slop, which really is indicative of the modern Disney method. They're not making anything good, but they're making a lot of everything.
That is very much what Disney is all about now. Another movie that I couldn't really parse how I wanted to rank it, uh, was Him. It's a movie about a black kid being brought into sports culture, and the sports culture is really about Satan.
And
And
all right. So I'm gonna get my bias out of the way. It's trash because it's a Jordan Peele joint. Continue.
well, no. It actually what it was is the idea originally came to Jordan Peele. He started work on it, then he backed out.
Mm.
So that's the worst part. Is it was something Jordan started, moved away from, and they just told somebody else, make it Jordan Peeler. The big thing for me is they just need to go all in on the ending. Sports teams run by satanic forces, go all in with it. Don't have your hero, violently save himself. No, have him sell his soul to the devil and have the old broken down player, fit inside his skin like a skin suit. Have him be like a monster that's living in the basement of the stadium. If you're gonna do that, go all the way. Uh, I mean, right?
Yeah. If you're gonna do it all the way. Go all in. But also, I understand, as you say, Jordan Peele looked at it and said, "You know what? Not for me." But the fact of the matter is that just can we just give an honorable discommendation to Jordan Peele in general?
Yeah,
Because he's
absolutely.
getting more movies and they're shopping around for him to do more things, and he just has this patina of try hard auteur because we all know the model. He's proved it. This is the third or fourth movie. He is the modern Quentin Tarantino. Whereas Quentin Tarantino just wanted to say the N word in movies, Jordan Peele is just like, I'm just going to make a movie about how y'all honkies.
hmm hmm
And he doesn't even have the balls to be to make it fun like Black Dynamite.
But Black Dynamite, I sell drugs to the community.
Right. We love that shit.
That works because of that's just the perfect nucleus uh, uh,
That,
uh, uh,
that's the thing. That's the thing.
of
You and
delivery.
that's the thing. You and I, we look at Rudy Ray Moore. We say we love this, right? Somebody says it's black exploitation. It's kind of skeevy. We're like, yeah, but that's why we love it, right?
Yeah,
Jordan Peele looks at that and says, "Well, that's black exploitation. I'm too good for that." It's like, motherfucker, you were part of Key and Peele. If you're too good for
hmm
black exploitation, then I don't need your movies in my life.
yeah, yeah.
But that
Uh,
brings us back to him, and you're not sure how you feel about him because it didn't want to commit.
no, it didn't want to commit because it has this idea of black revolutionary entertainment messaging that just didn't work with the rest of the movie. Also on the list of disappointments, but not disappointing enough to be in the top 5 was Nobody 2. Do you remember Nobody?
I've seen clips of Nobody. I've seen
You
clips
should
from Nobody too.
you
I
should watch
don't care enough. I don't care enough to actually watch Nobody.
you should watch Nobody because Nobody has a fun premise. What if John Wick is just some middle-aged schlub who works a middle management job who decides that now he needs to get back into murdering people.
Okay.
And it works. Christopher Lloyd plays his dad. Christopher Lloyd is a national treasure.
I saw something very sad today, and I'm still not over it. um. So I don't know why I looked up Michael J. Fox recently, but I heard that Michael J. Fox was on a drug supplement that was helping him with his Parkinson's. Right?
Mhm.
And then today, randomly, I came across a clip of Fox and Lloyd meeting up again, at an event, um, because they're our boys from Back to the Future. And Christopher Lloyd looks like old man.
Mhm.
Christopher Lloyd's been an old man for a real long time.
Yeah.
Right? God, Michael J. Fox looks bad.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's got Parkinson's, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, his decay is coming on a pace, and it hurts me to see it.
Yeah.
I'm very sad because it's like, can you imagine? He's been wrestling with the Parkinson's since the 90s,
Mhm.
right? Can you imagine the career we could have had if Michael J. Fox was around, like, for today, for the Marvel bubble?
Oh yeah. They might have had him be Hank Pym instead of Michael Douglas in the Ant-Man movie.
I'm swirling that around in my brain. They wouldn't have to do Scott Lang. They could have just done Michael J. Fox's Hank Pym and just had him do straight up Ant-Man adventures. Because I
Yeah.
can totally see them trying to like bank on a pseudo Back to the Future by being like, we're gonna have Michael J. Fox turn into ant
Oh my
size
god.
man,
Oh my god. No,
right?
no, no. Oh my god, no. You have that moment in Avengers Endgame when they hit say Back to the Future rules. And you
Right,
have Michael J. Fox Ant-Man explaining that to everybody.
right,
Oh, that could have been so good if that timeline existed.
right. But
Oh,
that being said, back on topic, Nobody too. The couple of clips I have seen are actually of Christopher Lloyd in Nobody. The man still got it. He's geriatric, but he's fucking got it. He understands his job. Okay? And quite frankly, we do not give Christopher Lloyd enough credit. I know that we all love Doc Brown here, but the fact of the matter is the man has done TV. The man
mhm.
was in Star Trek. The man was in Buckaroo Banzai. Christopher Lloyd was there, that guy character actor who became one of our mythological touchstones in our hierarchy of fiction people of our lives. And when he's gone, we're going to lose something intangible.
So that is the state mandated top list. Do you have anything you want to speak to about like the top movies and TVs you experienced in 2025?
Well, I think that obviously anything that you brought up as a top that I spoke well of is clearly something that I consumed and in spite of myself really liked. Like,
Mhm.
to my surprise, it's like, you know what, I liked a few more things this year than I thought. But most of my consuming was going back. Now, some of that you'd think is, well, Joe, you're an old man. Of course you went back and you watched stuff from the 90s when you were a kid. Blah.
Mhm.
But no. Like, I've mentioned a couple of times, I think, on show, but if not elsewhere, I've been watching Justified, right? And
Mhm.
I checked it out because it's got Walter Goggins and it's got Timothy Oliphant. Timothy Oliphant I was introduced to from Deadwood,
Mhm.
right? So I was like, I'll check this out. It's not bad. it was good enough. I spent $12 and I bought the novella that the series is based on.
Mhm.
And I've been reading it to note the differences, right? Because it's produced and written by Elmore Leonard. Come on, right?
Mhm.
Been watching The Blacklist. More or less, a lot of my viewing habits have lately been about 15 years back, right? Which means that we know right about when the shutoff is. The shutoff is just about at 2016. That's when things started to become the slop machine. And I feel no desire to do slop. On the other hand, you know how people have been saying the world is healing, things are changing. I have a list of upcoming movies I am super enthusiastic about.
Well, I think you should save that for next week.
Okay, I can try to save that for next week. So next week we're going to talk about our list of stuff we're looking forward to.
We're going to talk about the future, and we did like as a preview, and we'll talk about the future, and I'll have probably seen something by then.
The future where we'll all be living in the future.
Yeah, we're living in the future, and by the time we're here next week, the Iranian government may have been supplanted, and Marco Rubio may be the satrap of Tehran.
Well, I serious question. Are we positing that Marco Rubio is now the satrap of Venezuela?
Yes, that was actually something Donald Trump has stated, that he's in charge of sorting out Venezuela for the U.S. government.
Because quite frankly, I don't want Venezuela as the 51st state.
Well, no, we're just temporarily managing it until we can figure out who we want to put in charge.
You know, the FBI was supposed to be a temporary thing.
It was, and the income tax was originally supposed to be a temporary thing.
Yeah. On the other hand, I am vaguely amused how, of course, all the lefties in America are like, the president can't do this. It's a crime. And then literal Venezuelans are getting on camera and going, motherfucker, that guy was a dictator. Where the fuck were you?
And on that note, I'm going to say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Doot, doot.